Hey guys, welcome to another Halloween Wednesday. Now today, we're going to make up the loss of what happened on the Halloween Wednesday parody video I made last time. Basically about what actually happened to me. Basically about what actually happened to me at school with the interior lockdown. Be honest, I kind of thought it was going to be a lot more scarier, but when I told the story, it just sounded like meh. But anyway, today we're going to be reacting to some scary stories. I decided not a lot because I really don't feel like having to make a long video, but yeah, anyway. For the first video we're going to be reacting to is Heck for the Holidays, Something Scary Story Time. And it was uploaded by YouTuber Snarled. I know it's not the holidays, but why not just get into the spirit, you know? Anyway, let's do this.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Strange. Want to hear something scary?
Oh, yes, I do.
Hey, my sweet Strangerlings. We're heading into the holidays, and we thought you enjoy some nostalgia from something scary for the next few weeks. Longtime viewers may remember these compilations that we used to do, so we are excited to bring them back. Hope you enjoy.
All right. The Christmas present.
Every year, there's that one popular toy that every kid wants, and every parent is fighting to find. Tickle Me Elmos, Furbies, Hatchimals. This year, it's the best friend. They come in a variety of animal shapes, and they walk and talk and interact with your kid as if it were a real living thing. It's all my son Rex would talk about in the months leading up to Christmas. He would show me videos on YouTube of other kids playing with their best friends. The technology was actually incredibly impressive and justified the hefty price tag. It would ask the kids questions like how old they were, where they lived, and it would give realistic responses when the kids answered. It could even walk next to you and follow you around the house. Rex even explained to me that it used cameras and sensors to do so. It's crazy how knowledgeable and comfortable kids are around tech these days. When I was his age, I could barely operate a TV. I told him that if he was really good, Santa would definitely get it for him. But it was impossible to find. I went to every mall, looked at every online store. The only best friends available were being resold for 10 times what they were worth. It was a week before Christmas, and I had pretty much given up hope. But then a friend of mine texted me. He had found a paper ad on a coffee shop bulletin. A man had purchased a bunch of best friends and was selling them for face value. But there was no name or contact info, not even a phone number, just a location and window of time to meet him. There were so many red flags that it was probably just a scam, but I was desperate. And the location was on my way to work. I figured it wouldn't hurt to go see if it was legit. The next morning, I went to the neighborhood park listed on the ad and looked for the bright yellow truck. There it was, off in the far corner of the parking lot. As I approached it, I saw that there were anti-government conspiracy theorist bumper stickers all over it. 9/11 was an inside job, don't trust banks, technology will kill us, that sort of thing. I approached the driver's side window and saw a man in his 50s. Hi, I'm here to get a best friend?
Sure. I'll need a photo of you first.
Okay, why not? He pulls out a Polaroid camera and snaps a photo of me. I figured it was his kooky way of recording his sales. I didn't know, and I didn't care to ask.
Must be pretty desperate to get a toy from a stranger in a parking lot,
the man said with a chuckle. Yeah, I really
I think it's time to leave now.
Oh, you need this. Well,
after he's saying this stuff, I would have left.
You accept Venmo? I asked him, gesturing to the app on my cell phone. He burst out laughing.
Only idiots willingly carry a tracking device on them. Cash only.
Luckily, I had some on me, and I handed it to him. You know, cell phones are really useful. The man handed me the box. And as he did, he looked deep into my eyes and said,
Their greatest achievement was making us believe that we need the things that will one day betray us.
Okay, this guy's nuts, I thought to myself as I slowly began walking away from his truck. I was just happy to have my hands on a best friend. After work, I didn't even bother wrapping the toy or waiting until Christmas. I handed it straight to my son, who began jumping up and down with glee. This particular one looked like a cute little dinosaur, which he loved. It was the happiest I had seen him in a long time. He loved that thing and took it everywhere with him. The first incident that should have told me something was up was when I started receiving emails for services I hadn't signed up for. I just wrote them off as spam. Then my credit card statements started showing transactions that were definitely not mine. Credit card theft was pretty common around holidays, so I had my bank send me a new card, and that was that. But the worst of it was when our house was broken into. We had spent Christmas Day at my mother's house with family, and we came back home to find our window smashed and many of our valuables stolen. It was the worst possible way to end such a joyful day. As my wife and I examined the mess, my son came up to me and handed me his best friend. He wants to talk to you. Please, Rex, I don't have time to play your games right now.
Still think I'm nuts, Lisa?
I recognized that voice. That's when it all made sense. I grabbed the toy from him and looked for a battery pack. It must have been really well concealed because I couldn't find any zippers or compartments. The toy continued to taunt me.
You invited me in. You knew what I was capable of, and you didn't care.
Shut up! I took it to the kitchen and pulled out a butcher knife. My son was yelling at me the entire time, telling me not to hurt him. But I had to. I had to destroy it.
Why is everyone so willing to give up their privacy so easily?
I smashed its face. I could hear the mechanism inside shatter. My son was hysterical. But he didn't understand how serious this was. I had to destroy that toy for his safety, for our safety. My son looked at me with the most hateful expression I had ever seen. I hate you, Mom. I hate you!
I hate to say this, but this is probably understandable for a kid if, like, you just destroyed their own toys for some reason. So, yeah.
He stormed off to his room as I fell apart in the kitchen. Then my phone rang.
You thought it was going to be that easy? I know everything about you now, Lisa. And until you get rid of all your devices, I'll keep finding you.
What the freak? Road killer.
Every Christmas, Ani and Catherine would drive up to meet their family at the cabin they shared in the Alaskan woods. Ani loved staying there, but she hated the drive because of her sister. Catherine was the oldest and very bossy, especially on trips. The weather was on the verge of a snowstorm and visibility wasn't great, but Ani was trying to make good time and hoping she could beat the storm. Catherine was doing her best backseat driving, telling her sister to slow down or to even pull over so she could drive. Soon, they were arguing, just like they did on this trip every year.
Never heard of you before.
As things got heated, Ani took her eyes off the road to yell at Catherine, who suddenly gasped,
Ani, keep
"Look out!"
Ani, keep
Up
your eyes
ahead,
on the road.
standing in the center of the road, staring straight into their headlights, was a white reindeer. Had the light not been reflecting in its eyes, Ani wouldn't have seen it at all. There was barely enough time for her to slam on the brakes and swerve. The sisters screamed as the car spun out of control and smashed hard into a bank of snow along the edge of the road.
This, y'all, is the reason why you should not be arguing while driving.
They looked back and saw that they narrowly missed the majestic reindeer that now turned and looked at them. It jerked erratically as it moved, and its eyes still glowed a bright orange, even in the dark. Everything seemed to quieten as the snow gently fell around them. Neither sister dared take a breath, and then suddenly, the creature snorted and stomped its hooves on the road as it let out a guttural roar.
The freak's wrong with you? You think you can take on a car? Sheesh.
It then lowered its antlers and charged straight for the car. Ani moved towards Catherine as the reindeer crashed into the driver's side, which pushed the car deeper into the snow. The sisters held on tightly to each other as the deer backed up and charged again. There was a loud crack as its massive antlers smashed into the side, causing a spiderweb of cracks along the windows. They braced for another impact, but it never came. Ani and Catherine looked for the reindeer, but it was still snowing hard. It could have been a few feet or a few miles away, and they would not have been able to tell. Catherine calmed down enough to take charge and told Ani to get them out of there. The old resentment started to creep in, but Ani realized that her sister was right and started the car. She shifted it into drive, but the car wouldn't move. The animal had pushed them too deep into the snow. They both reached for their phones at the same time and tried to call their dad. Ani gave her sister a sarcastic smirk when she got through first. He knew where they were located and said they would be there within the hour. No other vehicles passed as they sat there, waiting. After a long, awkward silence, Ani decided she'd try to make peace with her sister. But when she turned to her, there was terror on Catherine's face. She was trying to speak, but nothing was coming out. She pointed behind Ani, who slowly turned and looked through the cracked window.
Oh, you gotta be kidding
The reindeer had returned. Only this time, something was very wrong with it.
Look, Blitzen, you're not supposed to get angry. You're supposed to be probably the most well-known reindeer out there, next to Rudolph. Heck, I don't think anyone talks about Rudolph anymore for some reason, so you're probably the main man. So just calm down, jeez. Heck no, Blitzen, no, he ain't the main man. Prancer is. Yeah, Prancer. But still, Blitzen, even though you've been overshadowed by Prancer, it doesn't mean this needs to happen. It doesn't mean that this needs to happen. Okay? Just go tell Santa, just go tell Santa that you want some more attention. I'm pretty sure he can do something.
The beast now stood on its hind legs and walked erratically towards them. They watched as the reindeer's face shifted and looked more like a crazed man. The hooves on its front legs gave way to clawed hands as it lurched closer. It dug into their door frame and began to pull on it. They both huddled together in terrified silence as metal began to creak.
I need your help.
It was going to rip that door off, and there was nothing they could do. Ani tried opening her sister's door, but it was stuck against the snow.
Roll down the window and jump.
They were trapped, and her escape attempt seemed to make the creature angrier. Its long white neck flexed as it let loose noises that sounded like female voices. The voices sounded both entreating and mocking as they came forth from this transformed, unearthly creature. Catherine cringed, hugging her sister tight, pulling her to the window furthest from the beast. Climb out the window and run as soon as it rips off the door, Ani. I'll keep it busy long enough for you to get away, Catherine urged. But Ani wasn't going to let Catherine boss her around this time. No, we'll fight it together, Catherine. We're in this together. Ani raised her fist.
Honestly, I'm gonna say this. You raised your fist? First off, girl, you better die. Did you not see what that thing just did? It managed to transform its body into this thing. What do you think you can do? Yeah, you can probably jump it, but still. What can you do compared to that guy?
Fist shouting through the window at the skinwalker. We're not afraid of you. Suddenly, light filled the car as they could see another vehicle quickly approaching. The creature looked as well and snarled. It glanced one more time at the both of them, pinning them with its glowing eyes, and then ran for the woods, transforming back into a reindeer as it disappeared into the night. The girls were relieved as the truck stopped and their parents got out wielding snow shovels. As the sisters pulled back onto the road, they were followed closely behind by their parents. Their dad noted in a text that their back license plate was missing. The one thing that could identify them in their car if someone had the means to find it. The sisters shivered, aware that they could never be certain that it wouldn't one day find them and try to finish what it had started.
Hey. Krampus Natch. Oh, okay. We're gonna continue
Naughty
with...
children, beware, Mirko shouted as he burst through the door in his wooden...
Okay, I want to just say this for a minute. We're probably going to continue with all of this. And I guess call it a day, because I said I didn't want a long video. This is like 22 minutes long.
Stack your Sturge mask. He bore the face of Krampus's spirit helper. For tonight, it was Krampusnacht. The night that belonged to the half-goat, half-demon, Krampus. His sister Nika screamed and threw her boots at him. Mirko laughed. He loved scaring his sister. He took off the mask and handed the boots back to her. Remember to leave them spotless, Nika, and maybe Krampus will only leave a warning to be good.
I'm pretty sure Krampus is going to leave a warning for you to be good.
Unlike St. Nicholas, who left gifts for children who were good all year, Krampus was the one to fear, especially if you had been bad. Krampus expected your boots to be spotless for St. Nicholas's gifts as well as what he might leave behind. Bad children would receive the twigs, a bundle of birch sticks, alerting their parents of how bad they had been all year.
And from what I heard, heck, my brother even once told me a story about Krampus when I was young. He said that Krampus would actually beat the children with sticks. Ain't kidding. He said that they would actually beat the children with sticks, or he would eat them. So, yeah, children, do not be bad. Because if you do, there's a giant demon that's going to hit you with some sticks, and probably going to eat you.
All year. But the worst children, the ones whose behavior still didn't improve by Christmas, would receive something else altogether. They would be forced into servitude to help deliver Krampus's punishments across the land. No longer human, they would be Stack Your Sturge, minions of Krampus. Nika rolled her eyes at her brother and assured him that she wasn't going to be on the naughty list. Mirko took his shoes off and wiped them clean. Didn't you change your grades to make Fs look like Bs? You almost got expelled.
How the heck can you make an F look like a B?
Mirko put their clean shoes on the windowsill for Krampus's inspection. Looking out into the distance, he thought he could see shadows moving from house to house. Was that his imagination, or was that Krampus? Nika must have seen the shadows as well, Mirko thought, as she now looked less sure of herself. Her brother promised they'd be safe. Krampus will pass over us. Get some sleep. Mirko went to bed and started to drift off when, suddenly, a loud scraping sound woke him. Then there was a crash. Mirko ran into the hallway and nearly crashed into a bewildered Nika. She shakenly said, I heard him. I heard his hooves and his breathing. Mirko quieted his sister as they snuck into the living room. It sounded like something was moving on.
Better option, go to a basement.
On the roof. Perhaps he is leaving, Mirko responded, and then he froze. His and Nika's boots were knocked off the windowsill and on the floor, along with twigs and a mysterious bell. Krampus had indeed visited them, but it was unclear who had received his punishment of the twigs and who the bell. Uncertainty gripped Mirko as he pondered his behavior that year. He did like to tease his sister, but he never thought it was that bad. He wondered if his scaring Nika earlier had caused the punishment. Perhaps it had been one time too many. The whole house shook, and the sound of something huge thudded down next to the house.
Okay, who's
Nika
on the
grabbed
naughty
the bell
list?
and ran, hiding.
The fact that you grabbed the bell. Nina, I'm sorry, but you're the one who's on the naughty list here. You grabbed the frickin' bell for some reason. You got the ring bell for some reason, and you don't know if it belongs to you or not. So you're the one who's on the naughty list.
Hiding in the kitchen cupboard. Mirko cowered in fear behind the couch. He knew he should have been a good boy and not so prone to mischief. Now, Krampus had come for him. With a chilling creak, the front door opened.
The front door? First off, I thought Krampus would go through the chimney like Santa, but yeah, this is turning from a Halloween Wednesday to what? I don't know. Yeah, it's still a Halloween Wednesday. You know what I mean?
The cold invaded as snow began to drift inside. An ominous shadow filled the entire frame of the doorway. A monstrous creature crouched down, entering their home. Coarse, gray-brown fur covered its entire body, save for its demonic face.
God.
Long, goat-like horns protruded from the top of its head and scraped against the threshold of the doorway as it entered. It was Krampus, and it was angry.
I have returned for whoever tried to hide my warning.
Krampus.
I need Santa. Santa, I need you to go handle your brother right now. Or your friend, whatever relationship you have with Krampus here. I need your help. Okay? So, do something.
Krampus growled as he grabbed the scattered twigs from the floor. Mirko stood up, and suddenly Krampus was before him. Whimpering, Mirko put his Stack Your Sturge mask on and faced the winter entity. Krampus laughed. It sounded like it was crushing coal within its throat and ripped the mask off his face.
Foolish boy. It's not you that I am after.
The creature held Nika's boots with its long, hairy claws. From its belt hung chains that suddenly rattled. 2 chains unhooked and snaked across the floor and into the kitchen. Nika screamed as she was dragged out by her feet.
Can't you see? She'd hoped you to take the fall, and for that final scheme, her fate is now sealed.
Krampus bellowed. Mirko.
I knew it. After my girl just took the bell and ran, that immediately told me enough. Look, you both had no idea which one was yours, so the better option, head back to bed.
Mirko's sister had betrayed him. When he almost ran into her in the hallway, he now realized she was coming from the living room. She'd found the twigs in her boot, and rather than face their parents about that year's behavior, she had knocked both of their shoes over so their parents would know who had deserved the twigs.
This kid's crazy. Okay, she's just being a kid, but still.
Krampus had known what she had tried to do. Mirko fought back tears as he watched his sister try to bargain with Krampus. You're wrong, demon. The twigs were in his boot, not mine. You left the bell for me. Don't you recognize it? She lied. Mirko stared into his sister's eyes and began to cry, betrayed but also afraid for her. Nika then realized what she had done and handed her brother the bell, also bursting into tears. Mirko turned to Krampus. Nika looked so alone.
She gave him back the bell, so spare the girl's life at least.
Maybe he could. Krampus snarled and bent down low until he was face to face with the terrified boy.
You have no place in my world, young Mirko, for you are not yet a bad child. If that changes, I will be back for you as well,
the demon whispered. And with that, its chains lifted Nika up into the air. Krampus snapped Mirko's wooden Stack Your Sturge mask onto the girl's face. She screamed, trying to pry it off, but slowly her struggling stopped as she was transformed into one of Krampus's spirit helpers. Mirko no longer recognized his sister as she followed Krampus out of the house. As she crossed the doorway, she paused for a moment and looked back at Mirko. She no longer recognized him either. And with that, She bounded into the night after her master, leaving the boy with nothing but a bell and some twigs.
Now what the heck is Mom and Dad gonna do for that? What the heck Mom and Dad about to do? What are they about to do?
Cold turkey may be great on sandwiches, but there's a better way to break a bad habit.
We don't need to talk about your advertising. Well, I guess that's enough for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and just be good for this year's Christmas, even if it's not near Christmas yet. Be good for Christmas in July, okay? So y'all can get whatever Christmas in July gifts you're gonna get. Anyways, yeah. Happy Hour Wednesday.